Most of us live in a beautiful place. It's called the comfort zone. It will slowly kill your dreams. There's an enormous potential to make an impact in the world for regular people like us. Whatever it is you want, you can have it. And that is sticky. You know, a while back, I was speaking to my client, Tobias. He is a CEO of a large company, and we were sitting in quite a boring conference room where we had built a makeshift studio to make some content for his LinkedIn. And he was wearing what I call the CEO outfit. Do you know what I mean? It's a light blue shirt, dark suit. I'm trying to see if anyone is wearing it here, but no. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's how I know him. And this was the third time I think I was working with him. And so I felt I gotten to know him a little bit. But his answer to this question, when I asked him, what did you want to be when you grow up, when you were a kid, was, I wanted to be a farmer. And so I was a little shocked. But I think, how does this kid go from wanting to be a farmer to becoming a CEO of a listed company? And whatever is in between is what's interesting to me, why we become the people that we become. Do you remember what you wanted to be when you were a kid? Anyone? Yes? What?
I wanted to be a cashier at the grocery store.
A cashier at the grocery store. I love that. You can get a little blip thing, and yeah. So it's interesting. My first boyfriend, he really wanted to be a cop. And my second boyfriend wanted to be a doctor. So obviously I have a type, some sort of do-gooder type. And I remember being so jealous of them because they had this like super concrete thing they wanted to do. They went to school to become it, and then that's what they are. And that's super impressive. But I could not relate because I didn't really know, like, what is this thing that I want to do? The only thing I knew is I wanted to be in business. And I don't think as a kid as I actually knew what that was. But I think I got the concept from my dad. This is my dad and me and my brother. He always had a cigarette in his, I don't know, it was the 90s. He was a super entrepreneurial person. And I think that's where I've inherited it from. Anyway, I knew I wanted to be in business, and of course I'm a woman, and I based my model of what a businesswoman is on my aunt, Gibi. She was formidable. Actually, she still is. She would walk around in these outfits, strong colors, bossy, with the high heels, right? And I just knew, I want that. Whatever it is, I want that. So when I was 10 years old, I got my first business cards, which is normal. This is not me, I wish it was, but AI helped me. I tried to make AI put the dolphin on the card, but somehow it ended up on my shirt. Anyway, I was 10, and my little brother Max was 6, and he got some too. On his cards, there was a tractor. On mine, there was a dolphin, because I was in this era of, I want to save all the dolphins. I mean, I still do, but I do the other stuff too. And I remember the feeling of holding this business card in my hand and feeling like, maybe I could be important. Maybe I could do something special. But I was only 10. And I think that might have been the moment that I fell in love with branding. And I don't know if my dad knew the power of visualization, like having something in your hand or having the vision board. This was way before vision boards. But I think that's how it worked for me. And if you cut to today, I've been in marketing and branding for almost 20 years. So apparently something was ignited in me, and I ran 2 businesses. So that's enough about me. I want you to remember what it was you wanted to be as a kid. And during this talk, I want you to think about, what is it that you're in the middle of right now in life? What is it that you are becoming, that you want to become? Because we're going to talk about personal branding, and I think personal branding gets a really bad reputation. It actually needs better marketing in itself. And we're going to talk about why. And I would like to, together with you today, redefine what personal branding is. And I'll tell you what I think it is, and we'll see if this resonates with you. So I'm Mira, Thimmayya, and today I'm going to share with you for the first time ever the sticky method. Now, I'm curious, of course, why you guys are here today. I'm thinking that maybe there was something that drew you here. There's something you want. We all want something. Don't be shy. Visibility, credibility, confidence, success, sales, of course. And no matter who you are, you don't have to be a CEO. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. You can be an employee. You can be unemployed and want a lot of things. Whoever you are so, so welcome. And I hope that you are in the right place today. Whatever it is you want, you can have it. And I really mean that. But not by becoming someone else. Only by becoming more you. And that might sound sappy, but for the last few years of my life, I really realized that to be true for me and for the clients that I work with. So personal branding, quick history. I mean, they say the concept kind of emerged in the 90s when this guy, Tom, wrote an article called The Brand Called You. And then in 2014, an amazing guy called Daniel Priestley wrote a book called Key Person of Influence. Anyway, I think branding and marketing has been around forever, to be honest. The first marketing messages we made are on cave walls. So obviously, we've always wanted to talk about things and sell things and promote ourselves. So somewhere between the cave walls and now is personal branding. And you already have one. I mean, a personal brand. Even if you're not working on it, it's yours, you have it, it's your reputation. People say it's what people say about you when you're not in the room, which is a little scary, but also probably true. But I also think it's the way you make people feel, like the feeling you leave people with. I think you can feel that if you've been in a meeting with someone, and you can feel if it's feeling like if you have the connection, if it's authentic, and you want to leave people with a great feeling. So of course, a personal brand is so many things. Everything from your style to your body language, your communication, and also your digital presence. If people Google you, what will they find? And what's on your social media? All of those things. And probably many more. But today, we're going to focus a little bit more on the digital. And I personally think, a personal brand is not very clear-cut. It's a mixture, like a cocktail of three things: who you are, who you want to be, and how others see you. Which means it's not black and white, and it's not set in stone. It should kind of change with you, because you're a person, and your personality is going to change, and what you work with might change. And so I want you to see that as freeing and not too scary. I think that it has to follow along as we build the people we want to become, and then we kind of have to let the world know this person that we are becoming. Easy enough, right? I'll tell you why I think this is hard for people, because usually when I say personal branding or posting on LinkedIn or whatever it is, people are like, that sounds hard and I don't want to do it. And I tell you why. Most of us live in a beautiful place, and I think you'll recognize it. It's called the comfort zone, right? I love this place, like me in my pajamas in the sofa, my cat, not having to face the world or whatever it is. The thing about the comfort zone is, if you stay there too long, it will slowly kill your dreams. And so if you want to get out of a place, you obviously need a map. So this is my map. On the way, you're going to encounter a lot of annoying things. And basically, on this map, there are two roads to take. When you work with personal branding, there is strategy and there is humanity. And these two concepts have to work together. I cannot only teach you, or I don't want to only teach you the strategy part of it, because you'll walk away here with a lot of thoughts, but I don't think you'll ever act on them. So strategy is how to build your brand, and all the strategy I can give you, tips and tricks, about how you become the most obvious choice in your field. Because I'm guessing that's what you want. You want to say to people, think of me first, right? And so that is strategy. But without humanity, which basically is getting over imposter syndrome, which is the death of a personal brand, you have to get over it so you can become the person you want to be. If it helps you, you can think about it like this. It's not about chasing the spotlight. It's not about, look at me, I'm so fancy, you know? It's about being the spotlight for a message that you want to get out in the world, for a cause that you care about, for the impact you want to make in life, right? And I really liked that analogy because it made it feel easier for me, because we're all humans and we're all kind of programmed to not be super comfortable in front of other people. But we have a few good things going for us also. I think we're living in extremely exciting times. Now maybe you're thinking, all the messaging I'm getting from the world right now is it's doomsday. It's all over. We might as well give up, right? It's the end. Screw that. If we focus on the positive, these times are so exciting because there's an enormous potential to make an impact in the world for regular people like us. A potential that we have not had before. Because never before have we had so many free, let me say it again, free possibilities to market ourselves. We can say a lot of good and bad things about social media, and I know there are a lot of bad, but guys, it's free. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Things that would cost you so much before is at your fingertips. And let me remind you, social media, we don't know how long it'll last. We don't know how long we're going to scroll phones. So get into the game today. The gatekeeper era is over. You know, it used to be that if you wanted to be some sort of thought leader or a profile of any kind, there would be a gatekeeper between you and what you want. Like if you want to publish a book like I did, you would have to find a publisher and they would have to like you and what you're working with. But today, we can all be publishers. And thought leadership has been democratized through the internet, through social media. Now, I've said all this, and you're still kind of shrugging a little bit, and so I see maybe you're feeling the pressure. But that's okay. I'm not here to tell you you have to post on LinkedIn every day. That's not what this is about. I really want you to see a higher perspective and look at the big picture, right? So let's talk about how to be sticky. And we're going to focus on the digital world today. There have been amazing speakers here this week. Mindy yesterday was talking about personal style and all of that. And I think there's so much to learn if you want to work on your personal brand. It's so many more things than digital. But today, we're focusing on that. So a sticky person is someone who stops your scroll, someone you remember. If you think about it, just now, top of mind, do you have someone you always see in your feed? That's probably a sticky person for you. So the opposite would be a slippery person. They fade into the feed. No one wants to be a slippery person. Not if you're working on your personal brand, at least. You want to be a sticky person. And to do that, you need a sticky ecosystem. It's what I call it. A digital ecosystem basically is where people find information about you on the internet. And of course, today it's Google. Can't get away from Google. It will also be AI, and the way we search for information is changing pretty rapidly. But today, you can't go wrong by getting to be best friends with Google. And so all the things on the net that feed into Google is what you have to work with. And that is maybe your website, where you can choose to put any heading you want, any picture you want. You can call yourself whatever you want, so you take control of what you are. And that feeds straight into Google. And then there's LinkedIn and social media, of course, also very important. YouTube feeds straight into Google. Then there is, of course, press and things like that. If you're featured in articles or even write your own articles, that's good. If you're visiting a podcast, anything like that. I wrote XX because there are so many more things, and I'm sure you have your own ideas too. But this is a digital ecosystem. Why I want you to build a sticky one is because if you're like the spider and you build a sticky web, people will come to you automatically. And how nice would it be if we automatically attracted things and we didn't have to always chase? Like, anyone sick of chasing stuff in this world? Yeah, good. So let's go back to my client Tobias. So if you don't know who he is, it can be a little difficult to know which Tobias I'm talking about. So the first thing I do when I work with any client is Google them. And I'm sure it's the same if you're going on a date or something. We Google people, I think. So if you have a very regular name, of course, it can be a little bit harder to get high up on Google. Mira Thimmayya is pretty special. I'm lucky in that way. But you can definitely do it. There are ways of doing it. So I Googled Tobias, and I said, OK, this is what we have to work with. This is his LinkedIn profile at the time when we started. What do you think when you see this? Any impressions? Inactive? Anonymous? A little bit? Look, there's nothing wrong with this. I'm pretty sure like 70% of LinkedIn has a profile like this, and that's fine. It just means that you have a lot to work on, and I think that you could make something amazing from it. I'm definitely not here to shame anyone. Many years ago, my LinkedIn profile was the same, so don't worry about it. So Tobias told me when we were sitting there making content that day that one of the people who worked for him said, you know, you're really excellent at your job, but you come off like so boring. And I laughed because he was so honest, which I thought was sweet. But also, I don't see him as boring because I've gotten to know him, and I know he's a multifaceted person. Of course, you can't really see that from this, and that's okay. So okay, maybe we don't want to be so boring. And you know, the line between being personal and professional, or even private, that's the crux. That's the hard thing that we have to work with online, because I know people are like, I have so much integrity. I cannot like share things. It doesn't feel good, and all of that. And I get that. So the important thing is to find where your line is, right? Because it really is so personal. Everyone says this is an attention economy, right? And in the attention economy, I don't think it's enough anymore to be seen. We want to be remembered. And how do we do that? I mean, if you think about it yourselves, who do we remember? It's people we feel like we know, people we feel like we like, maybe even trust. And when we trust them, we want to do business with them too, right? So Tobias and I and Robin, who's back there filming, we've been making some movies for his for his LinkedIn for, I don't know, the last 6 or more months. And when we started, it looks like this. So this is him in his blue shirt. It turns out he's really good on camera, actually. He's very charming, he's very smart. He talked about everything that's important to him in his job as a CEO, as a leader, where is leadership going today? All of the topics that he felt, these are my topics, right? And the first few films, they were super good, they went well. Even then, I think not many people used film so much on LinkedIn, so even that was something that people kind of liked. And he started getting a lot of comments and stuff. In one of the films, I asked him, so Tobias, when are you the happiest? Do you guys have like a happy place? What makes you happy in life? So his place was the forest. He said, I'm happiest when I'm in the forest, in my green forest clothes, with my 2 dogs. And it made me think, I just thought, this is not getting through like in the conference room with a blue shirt, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what if I challenge him? And so I asked him, what about if the next few clips we make, we shoot in the forest? And I thought he'd say no. He's busy, I mean, obviously. But instead, he invited us to his house just out of the city. We went in the car, a little film team, for about an hour. We brought croissants. We had coffee in his living room. It was super charming. And then we went into the forest. We decided to shoot some film. And I have to admit, I'm not the best outdoor people. My friends are gonna laugh because they know this. And I did not wear the best shoes and or the best coat or anything really. And when he said the forest, I thought, yeah, it's just gonna be like a little road and it's gonna be fine. But no, this is the forest. So I'm like climbing over fallen trees and, they're making fun of me. And anyway, it was fun. Robin has clips, but I'm not gonna show you. Skogskläderna på mig. Han skrattar åt mig. It was an experience, and really, there's nothing I won't do for really good content. So it was really, really worth it. And so the next set of movies we made looked like this. He was in the forest. In some of the films, he was in his green clothes, and in another film, he had his whole suit on in the middle of the forest. It was super cool, actually. But when we were walking through the forest on our way home, and I was muddy everywhere, Robin and Tobias bonded over their love of old rock music and tattoos. And so Robin had the brilliant idea that we should film Tobias in a video, but he shouldn't wear the suit. He should wear a t-shirt and show his arms, and they're all tattooed. And naturally, he was skeptical. If you're the CEO of a listed company, it can still feel like a bit of a stigma. And I know that 2025, that's weird in a way. Shouldn't we be able to show up just as we are? But I don't know. We're humans. We still have preconceived notions. So it was a little scary. And so I said to him, you know what? Let's just film it, and we don't have to use it. And that's one of the best tips I can give you, really, is to try things even if they're scary. Do it, and then you do not have to post it if you're not ready. And maybe one day you will be ready. So we edited it, and I showed it to Tobias. What do you think his reaction was? I was like, you don't have to post it. It's fine. But he watched it in silence. And then the only comment he had was, play it again. So I was like, shit, he's not going to do it. So I was like, OK, fine. Played it again. He watched it in silence. I'm waiting. And I said, you don't have to post it. But I think it might be good content. And he thought, and he looked at me, and he's like, I'm ready. And I get it. Like, it has to sink in, and you have to be like, can I do this? What is the consequence? What are people going to think? All the thoughts in your head. But he did it, and I have to give him kudos. He's always been so brave. He said yes to every crazy idea I've ever had. And I want to say, I have not made up Tobias' brand. Everything that you see is him. I can never, and I will never take credit for building someone else's brand. This is super important because you own it, and it will only come from you. And so whatever it is you see, I have only given him the media and the medium and help, like emotionally, to get himself out there. But this is all him. I'm going to show you a very short version of the clip here.
What is the first thing you think of when you see me? And what is the first thing you think of when you see me now? Now, I thought we would talk a little about preconceived notions and perhaps your chosen truths about how one is and how one looks and what one should be when assuming a certain role, a certain job, a certain attribute or title.
So he's super charming and even better in Swedish. And this clip is actually in Swedish because we're in Sweden and Tobias works with a Swedish company, a Nordic company. And so I asked AI to help, and it actually changed his mouth and everything and the word. He does not know he's available in English, so I'm going to have to tell him. Anyway, you should find him on LinkedIn and look at his videos. They're super, super nice. So what do you think the reaction was to this? Anyone get upset? Anyone like it? Maybe? Tobias did not have the biggest following from the start, and that's fine. Like a very good presenter before me, Linus, said here about LinkedIn, it's not always about having the most followers. It's about finding the right followers for you. And he had a small platform, and we just kind of started. So when we put this film out, the first films had gotten likes and comments. It was starting to get momentum. But when he put this film out, we had hundreds of reactions. And I guessed maybe that would happen, but I didn't dare to dream. Like, you don't know. But we had so many comments, and they were all positive, and so much love. Great way of shedding light on this issue. For me, you just went from CEO to the person, Tobias. This is the kind of thing that builds trust and makes you memorable, nice. And there are hundreds. I'm so proud of him, to be honest. And I think he was scared to post it, but when he did and he saw these comments rolling in, and this is not because of ego, right? I think he felt supported, and most of all, I think other people felt resonance. Like, many of the comments that you don't see here were like, I was so afraid to go to this job interview because I have this nose ring, or I have this tattoo, and how do they think? And Tobias is working in the recruitment world, so that's also natural in his network. So does it look like a boring person? It's a human telling the truth about something, and that is sticky, right? So people want to follow people. This is not new. It's not as fun to follow businesses, and we don't trust them as much. That's just the thing, which means we people who work with marketing businesses are pretty screwed sometimes. There are numbers, if you like numbers. I try to throw them in there sometimes. So 44% of a company's market value can be directly linked to the CEO's reputation. This is according to a study from Weber Shandwick, and I will send you the link if you want it. 74% of people trust what employees say more than what executives say. It's not a big surprise, to be honest. I think the biggest missed opportunity in branding companies today is forgetting about your employees. It's what I call employee branding. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. That's a whole other lecture. The important thing for you to remember is that your voice will get 24 times more reach and 7 times more engagement than the companies. So you're sitting on some power here, right? And I hope that the companies realize that and support us going forward. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt like you really know someone that you've never met? Like a celebrity or podcast host or something like that, yeah? You ever stop and say hi in town to someone, you're like, hi, it's so nice to see you, and then you're like, oh, no, that is a famous person. Happens to me all the time. You know what this is? Like, okay, so I have these instincts about things, and then when I find research that supports it, I get all giddy. So this is a phenomenon called parasocial relationships. So basically, personal branding digitally is building relationships at scale. This thing about having a lot of possibilities free at our fingertips, this is it, right? And it's up to you to do it in a real and genuine way, of course, that suits you. Everyone does not have to make films on LinkedIn. That is not what I'm saying. The important thing is you find what works for you, because that's what's going to be authentic for you. And it's not important anymore just who you know. I mean, that is important. But who knows you? Who knows of you and who likes you? So do you know this guy? Yes, a few nods, yeah. So this is Stephen Bartlett. He is the host of a very popular podcast called The Diary of a CEO. And it is probably the most famous podcast in the world right now. Actually, it's number 2. I listened to him the other day. It's number 2, but he's gunning for number 1, and I'm pretty sure nothing can stop him. He's brilliant. You should listen to him, but most of all, you should listen to him in the YouTube series Behind the Diary of the CEO, because there he talks a lot of strategy, and it's super interesting to follow an entrepreneur like that. So Stephen is also on Dragon's Den. Have you seen it? It's Shark Tank in America. So entrepreneurs come and they pitch their products or their idea, and they want the dragons to invest. And so Stephen, amongst all these other dragons, is there. He has some money to spend, but he maybe isn't as old as experienced as, or even has as much funds as the other dragons. Still, he is the dragon that everyone wants to have invest in their company. Why do you think that is? his brand? I think it's because people feel like they know him, because they've been able to consume a lot of content with him when he's interviewing people, right? Of course, also, he has an enormous reach in his channel, so it can be that too. So my question to you is, what can you do to make it easier for people to get to know you? Daniel Priestley said it in such a good way. He said, could someone spend a whole day getting to know you only online? Do you think they could? Is there enough content out there, like blogs, YouTube, podcasts, social media, that someone could sit for 7 or 8 hours and just get to know you? I mean, most people's answer is no. I completely get that. Not everyone's. Pointing at you. But the thing is, this is easily fixed. You can easily fix it. And so I know there was a bit of pressure before, feeling like, do I have to post all the time and everything like that? But I hope right about now, you're feeling a little spark of hope that maybe I should do this. Maybe I should look into it, right? Maybe I can do this. Anyone? Okay. So let's dive into the sticky method. Sticky stands for a lot of different words. Story, truth, impact, consistency, kindness, and you. So let's go through this. Story. If you are going to tell stories about yourself or what your cause is, what stories should you tell? Like, how do I know what to tell? And what's too personal? So the easiest way, to be honest, that I've found and that I do with my clients is you just draw a line on the paper. And you don't have to show this to anyone else. It's just you. Sit down with a glass of wine or a coffee or whatever you like and do this exercise. You make your lifeline and you write all the big things that's happened to you in your life, like these moments that are formative for you. And you could start at birth, or you could start at like high school or graduation, whenever you feel like, and write the good things and the bad. Have you done this? It's not common that we do. The only time I got to do that was in therapy. It's very good, very, very good. So it's a bit of therapy for you, but it's super interesting because I think that when you get it all out on paper, I hope that you can take a step back and kind of lift the perspective and be like, wow, like I've done a lot. It could be like moves, it can be relationships, getting married, kids, it can be divorce, it can be bankruptcy, it can be starting a company, going on a big trip, it could be anything, right? Whatever it is for you. And I think that the answer to why you're doing what you're doing in life is probably found on this line. There will be some common things that you will find. Or maybe you find that, shit, I'm not doing what I want to do. And that's fine too. Then that's a sign. Just for an example, here is my line for the last probably 20 years. It's not all pretty. I went from graduating as a project manager, studying, to starting my first company, which I closed down. I think I was 21 after 6 months. Started my second company when I was about 24. Had it for 2-3 years, but that went bankrupt. So it's not like I'm super proud of it, but at the same time, I kind of am because it's part of my story. And that's fine. Then I was an employee for 8 years, licking my wounds, thinking I cannot be an entrepreneur, obviously. I closed down 2 companies, so yeah. And that was fun, but then I started to feel like a little bit restless, and I got to do something else, so I took a few side gigs and I started doing things. And then I got a dream job offer, and I moved to Stockholm to get this job. And then there was a pandemic, and 2 months later, the job was gone. I was newly separated, and I was here in Stockholm, pretty isolated, and it was a real tough time. 2020 was not a good year for me, but I know it's the same for many. It did give me a chance, however, to think about what I really wanted in life, because when you take away all the things that defined you, like marriage or relationships or jobs or whatever it is, you're left with you. And that's a very interesting moment to be in. I realized, of course, that I really did want to be an entrepreneur and I did want to work in branding and marketing. So I started my third company. And I've been doing that ever since. And now I actually am part owner in another company. So that's my journey, and it's obviously not over. I might be in like the middle of it. I don't know how it feels for you. But this brings me to truth. For me, the word is authenticity. Being honest. For me, my common word in my lifeline probably is entrepreneurship. And so 1 year into this company, I started a newsletter called The Honest Entrepreneur. And that was not for personal branding. I don't think I ever thought about it at that point. I just started a company, and I was feeling quite lonely. And it's quite difficult in the beginning to know what to do, set your prices, manage your time, all of these things. And I wanted to like Google and find someone else writing about it that I could look up to, that I could follow. But everything I found was, companies that want to be unicorns, and they want to take in all this capital, and they want to do all these things. And that's fine. But it wasn't for me. I was just this tiny person who was starting a company, and I could not find it. So I decided to write it myself. And what happened was that it resonated with so many people. It was amazing. Like, the feedback I got was so nice and so personal. And I realized that the more authentic and honest I was, even about mistakes, the more amazing things happened in my life. Even on LinkedIn, I still got like contacts that are now friends, clients that would never have found me. And they told me, we want to work with you because I think we have the same philosophy, And so my motto nowadays is radical authenticity. Not saying honesty, not saying that you have to be private, but I think authenticity is something that we can really feel from people, even through the digital world. I think we have like a good bullshit detector. You would see in a post or something if people are just kind of talking. Even you could see probably still if it's AI. So radical authenticity, even when it fails, even while you're going through it, and that's the hard part. It is hard to share things while you're going through them. But in my life, it's been so worth it. And then we have impact. I love this word. Impact is an amazing word because I feel I have been empowered to make an impact in the world. For other people, impact can feel quite heavy, like, I'm just a little person. What do you mean impact? Like, maybe what you want is to get a new job. Maybe you want to help your community. Maybe it's a small thing. That's fine. Actually, that's a big thing, helping your community. But anyway, you know what I mean? It's not me putting pressure on you. I actually just want to find what your purpose is. Because they say the purpose of life is a life of purpose. And to me, that really resonates. I don't know if it does to you, but I think everyone, like every human, has this little thing inside them, if you're brave enough to listen to that voice. So impact, the impact you want to make in the world. And I want to remind you, when it starts to feel hard and very personal and cringy to put yourself out there, again, it's not about chasing the spotlight. And anyone who thinks it is, you send them to me. It's about being the spotlight. You just repeat this every day. That's the only thing that's going to make you go through it. Then we have consistency. There is nothing more important, to be honest. And I don't mean you have to post every day again, just saying. I'm just saying that it's not enough that you go away from here today and you feel inspired. I'm super glad if you do. But you have to take action. You have to use inspiration to spark action. And it doesn't have to be a huge thing. It can be a small thing every week. But nothing is going to happen if you don't take responsibility for making it happen yourself. And you can. Your brand needs to evolve with you. So it's okay if you change your mind. It's okay if you want to be known for one thing and then you want to change. I've seen this happen many times, and people can do that. So don't be afraid of posting one thing now and regretting it later. It disappears into the ether, and that's fine, right? But the credibility that you built through that, it's still yours. So it's not about succeeding on LinkedIn. And I don't want to talk crap about LinkedIn. I feel like I have. I don't. I love LinkedIn. When I do LinkedIn talks, I ask the audience how many people hate LinkedIn, and 80% of people put their hand up. And I get that. Like, it feels, I think it's like all of the braggy content that's not feeling so good. But the only thing we can do about that is to post good content ourselves, honestly, be a role model. But I'm saying this because with technical advancements, we don't know if LinkedIn is going to be the next thing, 5 years, 10 years. We don't know if we're even going to hold phones in our hands scrolling. I'm not saying this to stress you guys because I get a little stressed from it. But what I mean is your personal brand, it has to live over a long time, over a lifetime. So choose a channel now, absolutely be on LinkedIn. I love it. But just think about this needs to be transferable in the future. And you need to create that brand that feels good in you. It's not about fake. It is not about making this person that is not you, but it is a little bit of who you are now and who you want to be. I think that's an important mixture because we're all becoming something. And our brands will become that with us. You have to go from short-term noise to long-term impact. And it is compounding interest. This is what's so nice about building a personal brand. It's whatever time and resources and energy you put into it, no one can ever take away from you. This is an investment, it compounds, and you will start seeing things come back to you. So it's like, you cannot go home, make a post on LinkedIn today and for a week and then say, it didn't work. So don't do that. You have to continue and try and fail and try again. It is over time that this is going to make a huge impact in your life. And I can say that because it has in mine and in my clients. And you can do that too. And then comes a little bit of an off word here, kindness. Of course, we should all be kind to each other. That's not why I'm here. This is about being kind to yourself. I'll give you an example. Lately, a lot of nice things have been happening for me, and I'm very convinced that they are because of a lot of hard work that I've been doing and with my personal brand. Not to say that the last few years haven't been hard, there's been a lot of crap happening too, but I kept going, and I think that now it's accumulated, and sometimes stuff just happens at once. So it could be like publishing a book like I did. It could be being invited on podcasts that I admire. Could be standing here in front of you, which is amazing and such a privilege. But I know that all these things, they can look nice and a little fancy on the outside, but you know how they feel on the inside? It feels uncomfortable. Have you felt this sometime when something great happens to you and you're like, I don't know, yeah? So I told both Robin and Michaela the other day, I think it was last week, I was like writing, I was like, I feel so weird in my body. Like I don't get it. It's this, it's just uncomfortable. And then I realized there's a reason for it, and I had totally forgotten about it. And it's this guy. Dr. Rick Hansen wrote a book, Hardwiring Happiness, and he talks a lot about negativity bias. Basically our worst trait nowadays. I mean, when we were hunting and gathering and everything, it's good that we saw dangers and threats. But now, today, it kind of works against us, especially when it comes to personal growth. Because something actually happens physically in our brains that triggers discomfort in our bodies, even when change is good, without fail. When it's something that's a little bit scary. And I think that if we just know this then it'll feel a little bit better, even if it feels bad. And there is no way around it, not in personal branding and not in life. You have to go through it, but you can, and we're all here to be a community and support you through it. So kindness is there for a reason, and it's about you. We are so unbelievably hard on ourselves. I don't know what that is, but we have to try to be a little nicer. And the last word is you. And by now, you know that I think that you are your competitive advantage. It is you, your story, your experience, your personality, your style, your little quirks that make you who you are. that is your competitive advantage. And before you say it or think it in your head, do not say, I'm not that special. How many thought that? Okay, you're not going to admit it. I see, I see. But you are. And I know it sounds sappy, and I have no other way than a very sappy way to tell you this. But someone once told me that butterflies can't see their own wings. They cannot see how beautiful they are. And I think people are the same. Like, we cannot see ourselves objectively. It's hard. You have to go to another person and ask them instead, right? And so if there's a butterfly expert somewhere who can prove me wrong, that might not be true, actually. Please let me know. But I think the analogy is amazing. And so we've been filming this for YouTube because I have to follow my own advice and make sticky assets and put online. So thank you for being here today and helping me do that. And before we end and I walk off this stage and you walk into the rest of your life, I'd love for you to open the little package that you've gotten. In this package, you have some sticky notes, of course. It's on brand. Some sticky notes and a pencil. And I would like you, before you leave today, sit for a moment and write down one thing, like the strongest impression you had today from this talk, or the first thing you want to do this week to strengthen your personal brand. Whatever that is, big or small, you know, I'm not judging you. It's for you. And when you get back to work, put this sticky note on your computer screen or put it on your mirror at home or whatever you know you're going to see it, because then it'll stick with you and you will hopefully stick in the world. Thank you for today.